Should the judge presiding over my trial recuse herself? Let's talk about it. Hey, what's up, guys? Long Island Audit here, back again with another video. Thank you all for joining me live. I'm coming to you live from Schenectady, New York, as I have a trial tomorrow. How are you all doing tonight? I know it's late. I normally don't do live streams this late, but I've been prepping with my attorney, Jacob Uriel, all day, getting ready for the trial tomorrow in Schenectady. If you guys aren't familiar, I was arrested at Schenectady City Hall. I'll leave a link to that video in the description. Unlawfully arrested because I was exercising my First Amendment right to record law enforcement in the course of their duty and record our public servants. And I was attempting to investigate the mayor, Gary McCarthy. He has an executive order that prohibits filming inside of City Hall. The rationale, I don't know. I don't know where he gets this power from, the executive order, to be able to legislate what's going on and what's happening inside of the people's house. But I wanted to talk to you today about the judge, Judge Frost. She's presiding over my trial, and it's very important that I put this disclaimer out there. This judge is going to be deciding my fate tomorrow, whether I am incarcerated and taken away from my two little children and my family or not. So I want to make it clear, I'm not talking about the judge's integrity. This is not a personal attack against the judge. This is an independent journalist reporting on matters of public interest, giving his opinion and some facts. And you guys make the ultimate decision on what you guys think. We will follow the legal process, and we will talk to you about that in a few minutes about what me and my attorney Jacob Uriel, are planning on doing in preparation for the trial and motions we're going to file before the trial. So Judge Frost is presiding over this case. If you guys remember, Judge Frost refused. This is one of the elements we're talking about here. Judge Frost refused to hear. We wrote a motion to dismiss the charges, and we brought up the legality of the executive order, whether it was constitutional or unlawful. The mayor did not have. We brought up that the mayor did not have this kind of authority to issue this broad executive order, that it was the legislator's job. So I wanted to show you guys this really quick. Hold on. So right here we have an article that I found recently. It's from Albany Law. Frost, 02, becomes Schenectady's first Black city court judge. This was in 2018 here in January. So this is Judge Frost here, and the person that is giving her oath of office is the mayor, Gary McCarthy. So Judge Frost, literally, again, this is just facts based on what this is public knowledge. Judge Frost literally owes her job to the mayor of Schenectady. The mayor of Schenectady, that has his executive order, is at the heart of this case, of this prosecution against me. So I don't see how it's not. In New York State, there has to be a reasonable appearance of bias. There doesn't have to be actual bias. There has to be an appearance of bias, that a reasonable person would think that there would be a bias in order to protect my constitutional rights and to keep the impartiality of the judiciary. So I don't understand how the mayor can appoint. There are other judges that work in this court that weren't appointed by the mayor, the sitting mayor, and this executive order. So just the fact that she owes her job, she was given her job by the mayor, and I think that's an appearance of bias. But in and of itself, you could say, well, he appoints a lot of judges. But if you take into account what the other two things we're going to talk about here, let me bring it up for you guys. So this is an order from Judge Frost in my case. Reporter David Schuster requested, he's been covering trials for 35 years. He's requested through the proper channels to record the trial tomorrow, so that way everybody can see and there will be full transparency in this courtroom. Sounds like a good thing, right? Well, according to the judge, it's not, or at least she's not allowing it. So this is the decision order of the court. On April 1st, 2024, defendant was charged with committing the violation of trespass. And I want to be very clear, ladies and gentlemen, I am not charged with a crime. They make that very clear in these proceedings. This is a violation, as it says here, a violation of trespass. It is not a misdemeanor or felony. It is not even a crime. It is a violation. Unfortunately, in New York, violations carry up to 15 days in the county jail and or a $250 fine. So this judge literally has my freedom in her hands for something that is not a crime, which I don't know how that's possible, but that's the statute. A violation of Penal Law 140.05, defendant's case is scheduled for a bench trial beginning October 15th. Before the court is a request from David Schuster, a news journalist with TYT.com, filed on September 17th, pursuant to the rules of the chief judge, for leave to record the video trial. Now, pay attention to her order, ladies and gentlemen. In New York, the rights of the press to report on judicial proceedings is extensive. Further, in order to maintain the broadcast scope of public access to the courts, to preserve public confidence in the judiciary, and to foster public understanding of the role of the judicial branch in civil society, it is the policy of the Unified Court System, is to facilitate the audio-visual coverage of court proceedings to the fullest extent permitted by statute and the orderly administration of justice. So she goes on, starts this order with recording. It is the Unified Court System in New York's. They're inclined to allow audiovisual recording to promote transparency. Now, pursuant to the rules of the chief judge, audiovisual coverage of proceedings in which the testimony of parties or witnesses by subpoena. So basically saying, if you are compelled to testify at this trial, they don't usually allow audiovisual recordings to protect the people who are being under subpoena, as it says here. So, but just to be clear, there aren't any witnesses appearing at this trial that are under subpoena. So that rules that out. Furthermore, audiovisual coverage of party or witness testimony in any court proceeding is prohibited. New York courts have acknowledged that cameras in courtrooms can potentially impede on the right to a fair trial. So I consented to the recording. I have no problem with the recording. There is no issue with the recording. I believe in full transparency. I had no problems whatsoever. So I don't see how me consenting to the recording is violating my right to a fair trial, with possible prejudices, including whether jurors will be unwilling to serve, witnesses reticent to testify at anyone, or attorneys prone to grandstanding. Now, there aren't any jurors in this case. This is a bench trial. If I could have a jury, I would. I don't have a right to a jury trial, apparently, under a violation. Again, it's not a crime, but yet I face 15 days of incarceration, which would be horrific. So she goes on to say, based on the above, remember, no subpoenaed witnesses, no jury, the defendant's consenting to the recording. I've requested myself to record previously, so that's already on the record. I have no problem with being recorded. None of those things are relevant in this case, but the transparency in the judicial proceedings and earning the public's trust is. But yet she says, based on the above, the court is denying Mr. Schuster's request to video record the defendant's criminal proceedings. The court finds that video recording of the defendant's criminal bench trial is prohibited by the rules of the chief judge. The foregoing constitutes a decision order of this court. Judge Frost, Schenectady City Court Judge. So I'm trying to understand, this is why I wanted to talk with each and every one of you about it and report on this, is when does the appearance of bias become so evident that the Judge Frost, needs to recuse herself from this case? Because not only was, as you see here, she's being sworn in by the mayor, whose executive order is at the heart of this case. The lawfulness and constitutionality of this executive order is at the heart of this case. Can one mayor just wave his hand and say, no recording in City Hall, no praying in City Hall? You can only wear certain types of political statements on your t-shirts. Where does this mayor get this authority to violate the United States Constitution and New York State statutory laws, that we have the right to record law enforcement, and law enforcement is stationed in City Hall? So when we filed that in our motion to dismiss, Judge Frost said that, quote, this is not the proper venue, which is eerily similar to what the district attorney of Schenectady said, word for word. It's not the proper venue. So I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a legal scholar by any means, but it's not the proper venue to discuss if an executive order is constitutional or lawful in a court of law where I'm being prosecuted. Maybe it's not a crime, again, not a misdemeanor or felony, but it does carry up to 15 days in the county jail. That's 15 days of potentially being taken away from my 2 and 1 year old, from my family, from supporting my family, from being with my family, my freedom, all for cordially and respectfully and peacefully exercising a constitutional right to record law enforcement. I'm not questioning her integrity, but I am just basing these comments and my perspective off of the judicial ethics in New York State, which state that if an appearance, let me know in the chat if you think that this level of this evidence here, these facts, she was appointed by the mayor, she owes her job to the mayor, she refused to rule on whether it was a constitutional or lawful, and the fact that she's shutting out cameras even though she's permitted to allow them based on the own judge's rules. So I want you guys to let me know, is that an appearance? Would that be a reasonable appearance of bias? Because that's what the rule says, an appearance, a reasonable appearance of bias. It doesn't have to be actual bias. And then it states that the judge must recuse herself, must recuse himself or herself. Must. That's the language of the rules of conduct for the judiciary in New York State. So I wanted to talk to you guys again. I have full confidence in my attorney, Jacob Uriel. We've been practicing and going over trial prepping all day long. We've been working very hard. We're going to continue to work after I end this live stream. He's waiting for me to go over to his hotel so we can work some more on it. We have our defense. We're going to present the first thing first. We're going to present tomorrow morning a motion for recusal of this judge. I will go over that with you at another date. I don't have the recusal motion in front of me. It's with Jacob. But we listed everything that I talked about. Her being appointed by the mayor, not allowing cameras in the courtroom, misconstruing the court order, the court rules regarding audiovisual recordings. Again, no subpoenaed witnesses, no jury. I feel that it would be much fairer with a camera inside the courtroom. So I don't really understand the reason for the ruling. Not taking up the constitutional legality of the executive order seems odd to me. Based on again, not a legal scholar, but based on the attorneys I've talked to across the state and across the country. I'd love to hear your guys' feedback on it. Let me see here. So we're filing our recusal motion tomorrow before the proceedings start. It's a very well drawn out, explains everything in detail. I'll go over it to you at another time. Hopefully Judge Frost recuses herself. That would be my personal preference to ensure that this proceeding is unbiased. But if she does decide that she is not biased and there is no appearance of bias, again, I don't see how she cannot. But if she does do that, she will be presiding over the trial. And at that point, we just have to present our best defense. I don't know how they're going to introduce, the evidence that they want and without hearsay. There's a lot of elements to this that my lawyer and I were discussing. But at the end of the day, I'm going to trial tomorrow if she doesn't recuse herself. And then she will decide whether I get a $250 fine and 15 days in jail or just a $250 fine and, time served for the day that I spent in jail already, all for filming. But rest assured, ladies and gentlemen, I will, no matter the outcome tomorrow, no matter what happens, I will keep you updated if I can. If I can't, if you do not see me in the next live stream tomorrow and you only see Jacob, it's because Judge Frost decided to put me in the county correctional facility for filming peacefully in City Hall, the people's building. I would find that quite absurd and ridiculous to take a hardworking family man, law-abiding citizen, of this country and put him in jail over a non-crime for filming inside of the people's house for transparency, exercising his First Amendment right. That would be crazy to me if I got sentenced to 15 days in jail over this. But even 5 days, 3 days, I think any amount of jail time is ridiculous, but it's up to her. We'll see tomorrow what happens. If you don't see my face tomorrow afternoon at the live stream, you only see Jacob. Just know I'm okay. I hold my head up high. I know what I'm getting into every single time that I am challenging the government and exercising my rights. I'm fighting for each and every one of you. I'm fighting for myself. I'm fighting for my children. I'm fighting for freedom, transparency, and accountability in our government. And there are risks to that. There are appeal processes, and Jacob will take that appeal process immediately and try and get me released. But again, I will hold my head up high, knowing that I am fighting for something greater. It would be very unfortunate to go to jail over this. But I wanted to talk to you guys before really quickly. I don't want to be here too long and I got to keep prepping for trial. But I wanted to talk to you guys briefly here on a live stream. I know it's late. I never do lives, this late, but let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. This is going to be interesting tomorrow, and wait for the live stream. Make sure you're subscribed, have notifications turned on, hit the like button and share this live so as many people as possible can see it before tomorrow. And I will give you guys up. I'll keep you guys updated by tomorrow and let you know what happened. Hopefully, justice prevails and I'm found not guilty, and then we can hold them accountable in a federal court system. If not, we will appeal. So again, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, the judge recuses herself, and I get another court date with a different judge. But we'll see. I appreciate all your love and support, guys. It really means the world to me. We've affected change already throughout this country, and we're going to continue to do so. Again, appreciate you. As always, stay safe. God bless. I'll see you in the next video. Long Island Audit. Peace.